we are back. All right, everyone, let's settle in. We're diving into the heart of Emily Nagoski's Come As You Are today.
And we are finally here. The software update for the female libido is officially downloading.
I'm still recovering from that tower card from last, so a software update sounds much more stable than my current life situation.
Please, your life is never stable. Anyway, let's get to the text. We're looking at what Nagoski calls magnificent sex.
Right, and she starts by pushing back against this idea of good enough sex. She quotes Kleinplatz and Maynard, saying the goal isn't just to dump the guilt or the shame, but to jettison the entire aspirational package of paint-by-numbers sex.
Oh, I love that, paint by numbers. It's so clinical and hollow.
It's performative. Like those Instagram photos of perfect lives.
Exactly. She's saying that magnificent sex isn't just about showing up and putting your bodies in the bed. That's just physical logistics.
Right, that's just a transaction. Like, here is meat, let's do the thing.
Precisely. She says people who have magnificent sex deliberately cultivate a context that's just safe enough to take leaps of faith into the wild places in their souls.
That is so beautiful. It's not about the mechanics, it's about the safety to be vulnerable.
But then she hits us with a reality check. She says out of the blue desire has almost nothing to do with it.
Wait, what? What? So if I'm just sitting here, not feeling a sudden spark, I's not doing magnificent sex?
No, Paco, she's reframing it. She says when these people do want sex, they aren't looking for the porn version. They want to be seen and known more fully. She calls this magnificent desire. It's about intimacy rather than an itch.
And she's so validating about the dry spells, too. She mentions Gottman, the relationship expert, and says it's totally normal for sex to drop off when life gets heavy. New babies, dying parents, work stress.
Yeah, life happens. You can't just optimize your way out of a grieving process.
Exactly. And here's the kicker, the part that really connects to her earlier claim about the breaks. She says, if you dread the idea of showing up and putting your body in the bed, lack of desire is not the problem. Lack of pleasure is the problem.
Whoa.
That's a huge distinction. It's not that your drive is broken. It's that the experience has become a chore.
Because if it's a huge chore, your brakes are slamming on automatically. You can't want something that feels like an obligation.
Right, and she moves into this incredible metaphor about sharing your Darden. She says we often trust our partner's opinions about our sexuality more than our own. We believe we're broken because we don't fit the standard narrative.
Like I said, I'm a bit of a wild garden right now.
Well, look at how she phrases the solution. She says, embrace responsive desire. Adore it. It's an invitation to ask your partner to help you create the reasons to be turned on.
In the metaphor, it's so visceral. She says, a potato farmer would be plain old wrong to suggest that your roses should be growing underground. What works for aloe won't work for tomatoes.
I feel like a cactus today, personally.
See, that's the thing. She's saying, you're not broken. You're a tomato plant in the world that expects you to be an aloe.
That's the whole software update thesis right there. The bug isn't in your biology, it's in the mismatched expectations of the environment.
But it gets even more intense when she talks about the how. You have to teach your partner. You have to tell them what activates your accelerators and what hits your brakes.
Good luck with that. Most people can't even talk about the dishes without a fight.
But she gives this example of Olivia and Patrick. They flipped their styles. Patrick, who was more context sensitive, became the initiator, and Olivia, she gave him the space to explore, and it actually increased her intensity.
So, it's not about forcing the engine to start, it's about prepping the road?
Exactly. It's about the context, which leads us to the part that, well, it's a bit heavy. The part about orgasm.
The spectatoring part?
Yes. She introduces Merritt. Merritt was a master practitioner of spectatoring. Instead of feeling the pleasure, her head was full of anxious thoughts. How her breasts were moving, whether she'd orgasmed this time, what her failure meant about her.
The break. Am I doing this right? Is my face making a weird expression?
Precisely. And Nagoski says, worry is the opposite of pleasure. Worry hit the brakes. And when the brakes are on, orgasm doesn't happen.
That's so scientifically sound, actually. You can't be in flight or fight and ecstasy at the same time.
So Merritt does something radical. She stops trying to make the orgasm happen. She says, having sex until I have an orgasm would be like running until I lose weight. It just doesn't work that way.
That is such a powerful shift. Removing the goal.
She and her partner Carol just played. Massages, kisses, no goal-directedness. And Nagoski ends this section with a massive spoiler. And guess what happened? Yup.
Let me guess. The orgasm finally showed up because she stopped chasing it like a lost dog?
Exactly, because when you stop spectatoring and start allowing, the brakes finally release. Okay, we're back. I've got the book open to the chapter on orgasm, and honestly, the way Nagoski starts this, it's so personal. She tells this story about a friend who had never even masturbated, let alone orgasmed.
Oh, wow. That's such a heavy way to start. Like starting from zero.
Yeah, and the friend asks her this incredibly simple, vulnerable question. How do I know when I've had an orgasm?
The million-dollar question. Or, well, the million-dollar lack of a question.
Right, and Nagoski's answer is, it's not scientific. It's almost poetic. She tells her, orgasms are like art. You know it when you see it. She says it might not be what you expect, but it's unmistakable.
I mean, I get that. Like a good punchline. You don't need a manual to know when you've been hit.
Exactly. She talks about this sense of doneness, like you've crossed a threshold and something has finally completed.
I love that word, doneness. It's so much less, I don't know, performance heavy than the way we usually talk about it.
But then she moves into the actual definition, and this is where she starts stripping everything away. She says if you strip it down to the universal essentials, orgasm is just the sudden involuntary release of sexual tension.
Wait, that's it? That's the whole thing?
That's all she says. No genitals, no muscle contractions, no pleasure mentioned in the core definition, just the release of tension.
But look at how much she leaves out. She lists all these ways it can happen: clitoral, vaginal, even mental stimulation with no physical contact at all. She even says it can happen while you're asleep or exercising.
Or in a grocery store line if you're really optimized like we've been talking about.
But she's making a huge point here. She's saying we need to stop looking for a specific physical marker because the physical markers are actually kind of unreliable.
Wait, how unreliable?
She brings up nonconcordance again. Remember when we talked about the breaks earlier? She says there's evidence that the markers doctors use, like pelvic floor contractions, don't actually match what the woman is feeling.
Right. She cites a study where women graded their orgasms from 1 to 5, and there was no relationship between their grade and the actual muscle contractions.
So the body is doing one thing, and the brain is doing another.
Exactly, she says, which makes perfect sense if you recognize that orgasm isn't about what happens in your genitals, it's about what happens in your brain.
Man, that's a lot of pressure on the brain.
It's not pressure, Paco, it's empowerment. It's saying the hardware doesn't define the experience.
Okay, but then she says it's not even a pinnacle of pleasure. She compares it to being tickled.
Hey, I love being tickled.
Yeah, but she says sometimes tickling is fun, and sometimes it's just annoying. She's saying the quality of the orgasm is entirely dependent on the context.
And she provides these, honestly, pretty heavy examples. She mentions a woman who had an orgasm during an exercise class but was too embarrassed to feel any pleasure. Or a friend with major depression whose context was just gray and flat.
That's the breaks again. The context is so heavy that the pleasure can't break through.
And then there's the one that actually made me pause. She mentions a student who turned pale during a lecture about sexual assault because Nagoski mentioned that orgasms can happen as a reflex during rape.
Oh, man, that's dark.
It is, but it's crucial to her point. It proves that the physical response is just a biological reflex. It doesn't mean consent, and it doesn't mean pleasure. It's just the body reacting to tension.
It really underscores that non-concordance idea. The body can do the thing without the person being in the experience.
Which brings us back to the spectatoring problem we were just discussing. How do you stop the brain from watching the body?
Is there a patch for that? A software update for the many?
Actually, she gives a very practical, almost mindfulness-style instruction. She says, notice what you're paying attention to, and then shift your attention to the thing you want to pay attention to.
Like a simple breathing exercise. In, pause, out, pause.
Sounds easy. Just stop worrying about your performance, Jane. It's as simple as breathing.
She admits it's easier said than done at first, but she says the skill is in the noticing. When your mind wanders back to the spectator in your head, the critic, the judge, you just smile at that thought, let it go, and come back to the sensation.
So, it's not about deleting the critic. It's just about not letting the critic drive the car?
Exactly. You just notice the critic is in the back seat and you move your attention back to the road, back to the sensation.
It's all about reclaiming the territory from the brain's anxiety and giving it back to the body.
Well, I'll try it. But if I start smiling at my anxiety while I'm trying to sleep, don't blame me.
We'll take the risk.
If we're going to keep dissecting these mental loops, we're going to need more fuel.
Perfect timing. The Italian place just pulled up.